Our next guest got lucky when his Stanford roommate got him a job at Apple. Guy Kawasaki says when he saw what a Mac could do, the clouds parted and the angels started singing. He was so inspired that he evangelized for Macintosh for years. He even wrote a book called The Macintosh Way. He knows well the marketing genius of Jobs, as he was an important part of the marketing of the Mac for many, many years. He is now part of an angel matchmaking service called Garage.com. He joins us from our studio on the Stanford campus in Palo Alto, California. Guy, welcome to Bloomberg West. First of all, I want to ask you, what is it that inspires so much love for Apple's products?
It's quite simple. When you use an Apple product, it becomes an extension of yourself. So compared to many other products that you're fighting and you're trying to, beat it into the ground or beat it into submission, an Apple product makes you feel more creative, more productive. You think of it as a friend, as something that accelerates or amplifies or magnifies your ability. It's a very different relationship than some tool that you're fighting all day.
Now, how much of Apple's product success is about the products, and how much of it is about the marketing genius behind those products? Apple has operated some incredibly slick marketing campaigns over the last several years.
I would say it's a 98% engineering, 2% marketing. I think Apple's an engineering-driven company.
Really? But don't you think the marketing has been somewhat amazing, and has helped propel the products forward?
Well, I mean, I'm not saying it hurt, but I think that, in an ideal world, your product is so good you don't need any marketing, and your marketing is so good you can have a lousy product. And in this ideal world of Apple, which is, truly unique, it has a great product. It's a product that's deep, it's intelligent, it's complete, it's empowering, it's elegant, beautiful products. And so the marketing is, world-class marketing, I grant you that. But it starts with the product. You ask any CEO, it's much easier to take a great product and add marketing to it than to have great marketing and have a sucky product.
Spoken like a true Apple lover. I want to bring in Cory Johnson now, who's down in Cupertino and has been talking about this whole idea of product versus marketing all day. Cory?
Yeah, Guy, it sounds like what you're saying is that the actual product itself is part of the marketing. At what stage does that occur in the development of a product at Apple here, in Cupertino?
Well, I think it starts at the stage where the synapses in Steve Jobs' brain are firing. I mean, it's that early. It's not like many companies. They have the engineering geeks and the nerds, and they produce something and they throw it over the transom and they say, "Go ahead, market the hell out of it and see what happens." That's not how it works at Apple.
Guy, is there a certain voice that all the ads seem to have? Because it does seem there's something that is unique about the ads, whether you want to go back to the 1984 ad or the early iPod advertisements. There's something about the way that people interact with the device that seems to be central to the ads. What is that?
Well, I think it's a disruption of the status quo, a dissatisfaction with the status quo. And, ironies of ironies, now that Apple is, the first or second most valuable company in the world, Apple has personified the underdog spirit. And, it'll be very funny if, Apple reaches $1 trillion market cap and is still perceived as an underdog. That would be remarkable.
Now, the love for Apple that you're speaking of and expressing, does Apple inspire that same kind of love without Steve Jobs at the helm?
Well, we're sure going to see soon. I think, for many people, a few million people, they clearly are Apple fanboys, Apple fangirls. They understand every nuance. They love Steve. They understand, who Phil Schiller is and who Tim Cook is. But I think for the most people, what represents Apple to them and the goodness and the enchantment of Apple is the Apple Store. And when you walk into that store and you see a completely different retail experience, there's not a lot of paper and crap all over the counters. There's lots of product, and you see lots of people using the product. It's not like, you know, there's something hidden behind some glass case where you have to go get the key to try it. People are hanging out there and they're using their stuff. They bring in their own Macintoshes and use the free Wi-Fi. You talk to an employee who's obviously in love with what they're selling. You make an appointment with a genius, and the genius is likable and trustworthy and solves your problem. It's a beautiful retail experience. And I think for most people, Apple equals Apple Store, and that's a great thing. And that's not particularly dependent on Steve.
What does Tim Cook need to do, Guy, to keep that magic alive?
You listen, you're asking me the question that's above my pay grade. You know, he has arguably the best job in the world and the worst job in the world. You know, he's heading a very valuable company now, but the pressure's on. You know, he's following in the footsteps of Steve Jobs, which would be, you know, sort of following in the footsteps of Phil Knight or Walt Disney or Akio Morita or Richard Branson. Those are some big shoes to fill.
Yeah, Guy, let me ask you about Steve and your interactions with him. Was there a moment that you had when you suddenly realized this is a very different kind of cat that you're dealing with when it comes to Steve Jobs?
Well, I think you get that information in the first 30 seconds. You know, he's a perfectionist. He's very demanding. He suffers no fools. It's a frightening experience.
What do you mean by he suffers no fools? Sorry, what do you mean he suffers no fools? Have you seen him? Because we're hearing a lot of great stories, but I've also heard stories about him dressing people down. Give me an example of that.
He absolutely dresses people down, and you know, he has no patience for incompetence or people not delivering the best work of their career. And that's what makes Apple employees so great, is because Apple is a place where you can deliver the best work of your career. You're expected to do that, and if you don't do that, you'll hear about it.
All right, Guy Kawasaki, chief evangelist of Apple and obviously a lover of Apple's products. Thank you so much for joining us
Thank you.
from Palo Alto.